Good morning. We are going to be talking about dealing with bullies, starting from middle school all the way to online. Hi, everyone. I am LeNora Faye. I am the host of the LeNora Faye Show. This is currently live on Instagram, but we are going to be, I'm going to see if this can be downloaded and then put on YouTube. This will be an experiment. If it also works, it'll also go on the podcast. So, one of my listeners from the LeNora Faye Show podcast pointed out something I had said in a previous episode about me having a middle school bully. Now, I'm in my 40s, so it's been a long time since middle school. And I didn't even think twice about sharing that story. Now, and so she asked if I would talk a little bit more about dealing with bullies and how I navigated that. Now, I will save the middle school story for the actual podcast episode, but I realize that this is a topic that translates into the online world, and I'm not going to go fully into this because I'm fleshing out an idea for an actual episode dealing with bullies and mean people throughout adulthood, because that still happens. So this is just kind of talking it out because said I was doing a 2-week experiment doing a morning show for YouTube, but I'm going to add an Instagram element in it. And also it's 8 a.m. here. So my voice sounds 10 octaves lower. Anyway, good morning from wherever you are. By the way, it's Thanksgiving here in Canada. So happy Thanksgiving if you're Canadian and you're watching this. I don't know what Americans or anyone else is celebrating throughout the world, but if you're celebrating something else, let me know. So, as I said, what episode was? Oh yeah, this was in the Jazz Singer episode that I posted. You can listen to it on Spotify or Apple. And I had mentioned how high school... Oh, hey, Belinda. By the way, I'm going live. I haven't done one of these in so long. So anyway, this stems from something I shared in passing on the Jazz Singer episode, where my middle school bully saw me, this was years later. I was an adult and I was playing my violin, and she saw me performing, and then she reached out to me on Facebook and said that her daughter, she asked if that was me, because she's like, my daughter couldn't stop talking about this violin player. Was that you? I said, yes, that was me. And this was in my 20s. Now, this was my middle school bully. And so I will share in a full episode how that all came to be and how I navigated my way through that, because that sucked. Middle school really sucks. So... But it made me think, because the online space is full of trolls, as most of you guys know, whether you are a content creator or consumer. And over the years, at first, I never wanted to go online because, there's just that stupidity, right? But life made it really clear that online was going to be a platform for me to use. So for a first couple of years, now this we're talking years ago when I was really talking about child-free stuff, like way back when I was first starting, and that's what I was focusing on at the time. And I absolutely hated any kind of negative comments, did not know how to handle that in the online space. And so I would tag my podcast co-host at the time. I would tag her to answer, because this was a hot button topic, right? So over the years, I learned how to use those comments to my advantage, whether it was promoting content or just toughening up and just, not fighting back, because I'm Canadian. We fight, but not really. We're polite about it. So, I was like, I'll just use it as a marketing tool. So that's how I've dealt with bullies, but it takes practice, and it takes a minute to develop a strong constitution. Because you know what, and this is why I have shifted gears in the online space, because I got tired of putting out certain energy. So, but at the same time, I realized that even though middle school has been over for decades now, it made me think that I do want to talk a little bit, or I want to develop a podcast episode around this topic, because it actually really does, I think it plants seeds for adulthood on how we deal with things. So what I actually did, in middle school, we had, and actually I was part of this, there was anti-bullying programs, and so I actually instigated that. I used it against my bully. That was handy, and it worked. It still sucked. But I've been thinking about this because this, someone asked me to talk about this a couple days ago. So I've been thinking more about it and how to flesh it out a bit. But I realized, oh man, I've been using that skill my entire adult life, dealing with, especially the online negativity. I don't, where I live, it's pretty peaceful, and I don't really encounter a lot of negativity or mean people in my daily life. Although I will say, one relationship I had, and navigating with those people, his friends, yeah, there was a bit of mean-spiritedness with like the wives and girlfriends of his friends type of thing, but I just stopped going to stuff. Maybe it was avoidance, I don't know. I think that's why a lot of people don't go online, is because it's avoidance. But negativity in the workplace, yeah, there's so many. I don't know. What do you guys, how do you guys handle bullies as adults? I mean, is that even a term? Is that something that do you ever consider yourself bullied as an adult? See, I don't. And I think maybe that's why I didn't even consider it. I thought bullying, even using that term, is something that is relevant to childhood, adolescence. But maybe that's me being a bit naive, because I'm a very strong character. So if someone has something to say to me, they can say it, and then we'll talk about it. Or sometimes they run away from the conversation, and then I'm left talking about it on a podcast. So I don't know. Maybe, I'm not sure if that's something that you find relevant, or even if you consider it bullying. I'm not sure. Or maybe you are the bully. I don't know. That's also made me think. Okay, so then the other question I was asked, it wasn't even a question. It was more of a statement. They're like, "You're so nice. You're Canadian. Why would you have a bully?" Like, Canadians can be mean too. We're mean in a weird way. Anyway, just fleshing out the idea. Again, by the way, happy Thanksgiving, because it is Thanksgiving here in Canada today. It's Monday, and what am I thankful for? Having sleep, I guess. I don't know. It's been so long since I've done an Instagram Live. I am really curious to see if I can even download this video and upload it to my YouTube channel. So, what's happening with this? So, I've started a new podcast. It's called the LeNora Faye Show. And it's been out for a month and a half now. I'm posting almost daily. I'm doing a variety of different things. And this is a storytelling podcast because I needed to expand my creativity. I needed to expand my reach, my audience. I know I've been really focusing on a niche topic for many, many years, but career changes are necessary for personal growth. And so I wasn't actually, planning on doing another podcast, but the idea came to me. And so now I do the LeNora Faye Show. And I'm in the midst of a 2-week experiment doing a morning show edition, which is video. And because, I still have wigs that I like to wear on occasion. And I just wanted to see, I like to create things. I need to create things. I need to create things that are uplifting and happy and on a variety of different topics, because life is so vast and there's been so many things. And I realize I have 1,000 different stories to share. So the bully episode, that one, I'm going to take a full week to develop that because, again, as I said a few minutes ago, I think it's really relevant to the online space. And I think going back through childhood experiences, as painful as they can be really helpful in seeing how we can navigate, I'm just going to call it negativity, in our adult life. Because, I think bullying is like the term bullying, and thinking of a bully is like such a hard term. It's almost physical. Now, I've never been in a physical fight, but when I'm thinking about it, even family members can be bullies. You can be bullied by, people that say they care about you or that you care about. And it's just the way it's coming across. And how do you navigate that? And so now I'm just going down this whole spiral of, wow, there's actually a lot to talk about on that subject. So all I'm going to do is I'll share my personal experiences with that because that's all I can speak to. And my biggest thing is sometimes people can use bullying tactics without it really looking like a bullying tactic. You know, it's that kind of passive aggressive speech or just the little poking of the bear going, hey, you know, this is great, but, and then you're realizing they're speaking down to you. They're using like this condescending tone. I don't know. It's such a fascinating topic. That's what this live is about. Again, dealing with bullies and me trying to flesh out this idea for a podcast episode. So, okay, because again, I'm going to try and upload this to YouTube, hopefully, and doing, hey V, and doing live, unedited. If you're watching this on YouTube later, yeah, it's going to look different from what I did last week, but that's okay. Also, it's in the morning and I'm using morning light, not my regular light. It was way too bright. Again, happy Thanksgiving if you're in Canada. If you're not in Canada, happy Thanksgiving anyway. I don't know where Thanksgiving is celebrated around the world. If it is, besides the US, I'm not too sure. Oh yeah. Don't ask me about my outfit this morning. It's morning. I haven't even washed my face yet, to be perfectly honest. This is a little bit too early for video, but I needed to, I was like, right, I promised I would upload stuff. So I'm just trying the Instagram live. So, okay. What deep dark secrets do I want to share before I end this? Sorry, I'm trying to think faster here. I was going to tell a story on the podcast that I've since changed my mind. I swapped out my story. Okay, so yesterday I released a full podcast episode of the LeNora Faye Show. Oh my gosh, by the way, that's really hard to say. If you guys listen to the actual podcast episodes with the intro where I'm like, this is the LeNora Faye Show, I had to say it in such a way for me to get the words out because it's actually really hard to say. It's my freaking name, but it's hard to say it as an announcer. So that's why if you listen to the intro of the LeNora Faye Show, the podcast episode, that's why I'm saying it. Like I'm waving my arms like a conductor for me to say that because it doesn't exactly flow, at least for me. I love the name. I love my name, but it's really hard to say it in podcast form. So that's why it's like over enunciated. Yeah. Anyway, where was I going with this? All right. So yesterday I released a new episode and it's actually child-free themed, which I'm not doing that content anymore, but I will still, if there's a relevant story that I want to share, then I will market it as child-free content, but I'm not doing that kind of content anymore. Overall. So, but I did have to tell that story because, well, it's relevant and this is the thing. It's a storytelling podcast. And what's happening is I'm telling the tamer stories of my life leading up to a memoir that's going to have the really good stuff. Like these are good stories, but like there's really way more involved stories that I am saving. And so the story that I swapped out yesterday, I last minute changed my mind. I was gonna call it Thanksgiving Threesome because that's what it was. But I am saving that for the book because that deserves pages, and I'm sorry that's yeah. And I don't necessarily know that I want to say those things out loud on a podcast yet. So it's a grand experiment, and I'm gonna end it with this. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's already getting hot, but it's getting really cold here now on the Canadian prairies. So it's keeping the head warm. But okay, that's how I want to end with this is it's really interesting and therapeutic telling your stories. And for me, the podcast, the LeNora Faye Show is how to tell the stories and also share the insights that I've learned, and it has become really therapeutic. I am generally telling lighter-hearted stories unless it's the broken ankle story, which was actually a traumatic experience. But if you listen to it, it's not, you're laughing while I'm telling the story. Yeah, I haven't been doing these Instagram lives in a while. Of course, as I've shifted. Also, too, I've confused a lot of people because I have a new name now. Well, it's my name, but I've changed my content. I'm no longer doing child-free advocacy work. I am doing a career change. I'm going back to my entertainer roots because I need to do that for my soul. And so I now have the LeNora Faye Show, which is is a podcast for now. And this video is going up for the morning show edition on my YouTube channel. If I can even download this, I'm not sure. But anyway, the LeNora Faye Show is a month and a half old. You can watch it, you can listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcast and on YouTube, because I've been hearing from people that they don't like apps or whatever. They need it on YouTube, so I post it on YouTube as well. But I'm not doing as many video because I always was using the wig thing, which I have nice hair, but it's just in the morning, I want to feel glam, so I'll throw on a wig. But podcasting ultimately is my favorite because it doesn't matter what I look like. I'm just behind my computer, my mic, and that's where I'm feeling the most comfortable. So I'm not doing a whole lot of social media, except just to promote the show. So thank you guys for supporting the show. Anyway, back to telling your personal stories. I highly recommend it if you ever feel ready to do it, whether you're writing it as a blog or maybe you tell your story on a podcast, not mine, but somebody else's, or you do a YouTube channel or something just to get it out. And somehow, if you're I think this might work if you're artistic, or even if you don't feel you're artistic, turning your stories into some sort of content. I've always wanted to do that. Well, I have done it for a while, but now it's a little bit different because it's just solely my stories. I'm not really like an interviewer necessarily, but there is something really therapeutic because you learn something, and then you kind of remind yourself that you've either overcome something, or you got yourself into a situation and you got over it, or like yeah, and it doesn't have to be super traumatic reliving your stuff. Sometimes it can be. So also I say don't talk about what you're currently going through. I'm not sharing what I'm currently going through. I will share that probably next year. But I talk about things I have gone through in the past because there's enough space in between. And that really helps. So just if anyone's considering doing a podcast or sharing stories, again, blog, if it's in written form, audio form, what have you, that helps. That helps a lot. Because when you're in something and you're talking about it, and even if it's like something good, like, because there are things I'm developing as well. Like, I didn't tell anybody I was changing. I didn't tell anyone I was stepping away from advocacy. I didn't tell anyone that except for my business partners, like, none of you guys knew. I didn't tell anybody anything. I just go and do it and then say, oh, so now I'm doing this. And it's already set up. It's already established. You don't tell people your dreams. You don't tell, you just don't. So I'm not telling you guys my dreams. I'm just going to do it and you'll see it. So the LeNora Faye Show is out now in podcast form. I tried to put it on iHeartRadio this morning, but for some reason it wouldn't go up. So whatever. So to wrap up this again, the morning show edition is just rambling stuff, but it's to flesh out the idea. I will be doing a full podcast episode about dealing with bullies from middle school through online spaces. And because again, that shuts a lot of people down when you're posting something and then you like right now, no one's coming after me for just being me. What I was doing previously as a child-free advocate, of course, I had years of that, and I learned and I got really good at navigating through that. So I will share what I learned in that episode. And again, I'll start by sharing where it all started from. Well, my experience with bullies starting from middle school, which again, I had not even thought about that. But the episode where I do mention, that's the Virgin and the Jazz Singer, that podcast episode, that's what started this whole conversation. Because again, I had a listener say, I want to know more about your bully that ran into you later as an adult. That was actually a really good full circle moment, I will say. She gave me hell in middle school, and then later on she went to have a daughter who saw me play my violin, and she was like talking about me. And then she reached out, and then my bully reached out to me on Facebook. This was like 2008, so Facebook was really new. I don't think people can reach out to me on Facebook anymore. I don't know. I'm really selective on that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this. I'm going to attempt to download this video and then upload it onto my LeNora Faye YouTube channel, because this is for my 2-week morning show edition experiment. The podcast is up now on Apple and Spotify and a couple other places I'm not really familiar with. But you can also listen to it in podcast form. YouTube now has a podcast area, so it's available on YouTube podcast too. So it's the LeNora Faye Show. My God, this is why I'm really glad that I pre-recorded an intro, because it's hard to say. I need to get an announcer to actually say that. Oh, Silka, well, now it's over. Silka just started the chat all the way from Greece. Hope you're having a good chat. Oh, yeah, I forgot about what these Instagram lives are like. They hurt my... I'm not using a stand. I'm just holding my... Okay, well, since it's just you and I here, let's chat. No, I'm kidding. All the secrets I can't spill right now. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to see if this worked, for one, and be on the lookout for... It's 5:30. Yeah, 5:30 in Greece. It's 8:37 right now in the morning on the Canadian prairies. I'm going to go for a walk. It's actually nice. We're expecting snow in the forecast on Wednesday, I think. Wednesday or Thursday. So I'm going to go and make the most of the nice fall weather while we still have it. So anyway, have a good day, guys. We'll chat soon, if I remember how to turn this off.